What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. I am David,
I am Charlie.
and tonight we are stepping away from the paranormal and
Yes.
jumping into something else that could, I guess you could say, is still unexplained.
Very.
Let me fix my lighting back here so you guys, I don't look like a floating head.
You do look like a floating head.
Oh, there we go.
That's better. Yes,
So-
this is one of my favorite topics like ever. I think this is probably the topic that really, I would say, started me down the conspiracy theory
The
realm,
rabbit hole.
which I mean it is for a lot of people if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most popular ones out there, if not the most.
Yeah, and for those of you that didn't catch last week's show, yeah, and you saw the title, we are talking about the JFK assassination conspiracy, which honestly, there's so many moving parts to this thing.
Yeah.
That it's hard to like really figure out where to start. But we're gonna make an attempt at this. We're gonna try to bring some new light onto the.
Back off on your mic a little bit.
Why? I don't want to.
It's a bit up there.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, see, whenever I watch the show on YouTube, when I go back over it, my mic's always lower.
Maybe it's, well, no, my volume's only at 36.
Ah. Well, I don't know.
It's fine. It's fine. Everybody out there, whoever's out there,
let me know how my audio.
Yeah, let Dave know how his audio is doing.
Because I can't hear it.
There's little buzziness when you get. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, the only time I actually hear my audio is like if I go and rewatch our episodes.
Yeah.
And usually when I rewatch them, like my audio's down a little bit lower.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense.
Maybe it's YouTube compression. Perhaps.
Maybe it's very likely. So, is there anything you want to talk about for the week? Anything coming up that you want to talk about? I know you got your documentary and stuff like that you're going to be doing, your film.
Yeah, I was going to kind of push that real quick. So yeah, I do have a new film coming out. If you don't know about it, it's called Evil in Elkland. It's going to be a true crime / paranormal film revolving around this murder of an entire family. But we are still in the fundraising process. So if you guys would like to check out more about this film, you can go to my Indiegogo page, which is IGGme / fuck, I forget it. Just look for Evil in Elkland. There's a Facebook page. You can go to that. Like the Facebook page, you'll get updates about the film and how everything's going. But you can also find the link to go over and check it out.
Good times.
Hey, Uncle Chuck. Riley.
This is my nephew.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I was going to say, yeah, like, of course. But anyway, yeah, Evil in Elkland. Find the Facebook page. You can find the link there to donate. We got less than a week before the Indiegogo ends.
Yes.
And then in 2 weeks, I plan on beginning the filming process.
I'm excited.
I'm pretty freaking stoked and stressed.
I'm pumped, man. I can imagine.
I'm pretty stressed on it. But
filming a movie is not super easy, It takes time, practice, and resources. And
also, just side note, before I throw up the little teaser for Evil in Elkland, look for a new Haunting History episode coming later this week.
Yes.
The Rogers Theater. That's where it's from.
I'm excited.
All right. So here's a little teaser for Evil in Elkland, for those of you that don't know.
It is so horrible, almost hard to imagine. A teenage boy went on a shooting rampage today in rural southern Missouri, killing his family before his uncle finally killed him.
Police found her body still covered up in bed, a bullet wound to her head.
Right now, 7 people are dead. This family is gone. The community is in shock.
There's no one left in this immediate family.
Honestly, that's probably one of my favorite intros that you've ever done.
That right there.
Yeah, I really like that intro. It's really good.
Very simple, very effective.
Very.
I'm finding more and more that that's kind of the way to go. Like for a long time, I wanted to go like, just put it all like.
It's the same with thumbnails. Go simple. People just do simple stuff. It gets hits.
Yeah, even like the thumbnail for this one.
Yeah.
Josh TH. Looking forward to the new episode. It's going to be pretty good, I think. It's a little bit different from what I normally do with Haunting History. Like there are pretty much no voiceovers from me in this episode.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying something different. And whenever we went and filmed, I did it this way for a reason. Because I get tired of listening to my own voice. Most people do. But I wanted to go even more and let the people that experience the place tell the stories. I
can't freaking wait.
So it's the place was pretty interesting, I'll say.
Yeah.
There are a few captures on there. So yeah, we had a few experiences. Some funny moments that if you are a member on the Haunting History channel, there will be some videos coming out that are members only. Some of the funny moments from the investigation, and then some other stuff too. That's what I'm going to do with the members only page.
I'm sorry, but if you go on an investigation and you don't have some sort of funny moments, it's not a good investigation.
You're dead inside.
Yeah, exactly. You're just no hope for you whatsoever.
Yeah.
You got to have fun in investigations, or else it's not the same. Not the same.
Side note.
Yes.
Drinking Mountain Dew for the first time in 3 months.
Holy bejeez, that's a record. How you feeling?
It tastes weird.
Doesn't it though?
It does.
That's like people's number one thing of like when they stop drinking mainly Mountain Dew is what I hear. When they stop drinking Mountain Dew as much, they say it doesn't taste the same anymore.
Well, when I replaced it with Gatorade and water, like I literally had no withdrawals. I had no
it's great
wish to drink Mountain Dew, which is
the Gatorade really helps. Like I will say, when I cut soda as well, Gatorade helped a lot. Yeah, and I'm not saying I drink it all the time, but
when I would drink Gatorade, like I get these, like the tiny bottles.
Yeah, those are good.
And I'll drink like half of one, like every 6 hours, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't drink a whole lot of it, but there's enough sugar in there.
I would do maybe one every 2 days, or so. I have one. And it was usually the G2s where it's like there's no sugar, but there's a little bit more sodium.
Right.
But that's normal.
And I'm also drinking good water too. So
water. Fiji. Gotta get that alkaline water in your bruh. That pH.
Exactly. But that's helped out with the indigestion, the heartburn stuff.
Yes. I noticed a huge difference.
Oh yeah.
When you cut out soda and you go just like water or like, it's like people don't, when they associate soda, they think like, oh, it's sugar and I don't know what that means.
I have no idea either.
No idea. When people think about sodas, they think of sugar and caffeine. They don't realize there's a bunch of other chemicals in that crap that people put in their drinks. There's a bunch more stuff than what you guys think. So it's not good for us. That's bad. So bad.
I wish I would just put cocaine back in the Coke.
Right? That would
probably
solve a lot of problems. It would help with a lot of things.
Hey, it'd make life a lot more fun.
Well, I mean, we could do what our parents and grandparents did, which was walk to school in 3-4 feet of snow.
Well, the only reason they did that is because there's cocaine in their Coke.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And then farmers being on the farm constantly, whatever.
Sun up to sundown.
That energy. They didn't have coffee. They had Coke. Literally.
That reminds me. I didn't take my pills today.
Dang it, Dave.
I'm taking them now.
Which your crazy pills?
No. My B vitamins and my ginkgo.
Your malts?
Yep. Pretty much. This one's got to go rectal. So
that's faster that way. Now that we're older, we're gonna have to be using that stuff more often.
My finger slipped.
Yeah, as a kid, you didn't have to worry about that. Now you almost have to have it. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take too many multivitamins, though. It makes me feel weird.
Not to run on too long, but that B vitamin stuff, man, that really helps out. Like
Yeah,
your metabolism. I mean,
be careful not to take too much B6. B6 you can actually overdose on and get really sick.
it's the full complex. It's got B1, B2.
Oh yeah, I'm just
B6,
saying, like,
B12, all that good
if you
stuff.
have this one and then another supplement that has B in it, be careful.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about some JFK. Let's talk about
Let's do
some
that.
mystery and murder and
Murder.
conspiracy.
All right. So before we dive really deep into it, let's get like a basis of why people don't trust the government about this. Okay.
Yes.
So let me start off with this little tidbit. The declassified materials are part of a debate that began with the 1964 Commission on the Assassination of President Kennedy, popularly known as the Warren Commission. Established by Lyndon B. Johnson 1 week after the assassination, it concluded after nearly 10 months of investigation that Lee Harvey Oswald was acting alone, had fired three bullets from the sixth floor of the school depository building. It found that Oswald's death 48 hours later at the hands of local nightclub owner Jack Ruby was an act of spontaneous revenge. It's hard to believe now, but the Warren Commission initially received a warm reception, and the public seemed willing to accept its conclusions. Before the release of the report, a Gallup poll found that only 29% of Americans thought Oswald acted alone, while 52% believed in some kind of conspiracy. A few months after the release of the report, 87% of the respondents believed that Oswald shot the president. So once the Warren Commission released their report, most everybody was on board with it. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So over the next few years, however, critics turned public opinion against the report. In 1966, Mark Lane published his bestseller, Rush to Judgment. Later that year, a New Orleans district attorney, Jim Garrison, launched a highly publicized but deeply flawed investigation of his own, which purported to reveal a vast conspiracy. At the same time, Life magazine published color reproductions of the Zapruder film, a graphic home movie of the shooting by a local dressmaker under the cover, Did Oswald Act Alone? ? A matter of reasonable doubt. The editors questioned the commissioner's conclusions and called for a new investigation. So it only took a couple of years before people were like, hey, some things are not making sense now.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff that does not line up with this case at all. At all. I think they messed it up, if not maybe on purpose. But
well, there's some things that were out of the Warren Commission's hands that I'll touch on in a little bit. So let's rewind the tapes before Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
Let's introduce the man who acted alone. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a little bit about Lee Harvey Oswald. So Oswald was born in just what year was it?
I don't know.
Like 1933 or 1936, I think it was. In October of 1956, Oswald dropped out of high school and joined the U.S. Marines. He was a competent sharpshooter, but an indifferent Marine. He began expressing pro-Soviet and politically radical views, and, on a hardship plea, secured release from the Corps on September 11th of 1959. 9 days later, he left for the Soviet Union, where he tried, unsuccessfully, to become a citizen. In Minsk, where he was assigned to work, he had met and married his wife. 13 months later, he was able to return to the United States with his wife and 3-month-old daughter. And then on January of 1963, Oswald bought a 38 caliber revolver, and in March, a rifle with a telescopic sight through the mail. I wish we could still do that. That'd be great.
That'd be nice.
Sears and Roebuck.
Yeah.
On April 10th in Dallas, he allegedly shot at but missed the ultra-sightist Edwin A. Walker, a former Army general. And then later that month, he left his wife with a friend in Dallas and went to New Orleans, where he set up a one-man branch of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee and distributed pro-Castro leaflets.
Of course. He's a great patsy.
In September, he went to Mexico City, where, according to the Warren Commission, he tried vainly to get a visa for Cuba and go to get Soviet permission to return to the USSR. In October, he returned to Dallas and secured a job at the Texas School Book Depository.
Communism. Anyways.
At 12:30 p.m. on November 22nd, 1963, from a window on the 6th floor of the depository building, Oswald, using his mail-order rifle, allegedly fired 3 shots that killed President Kennedy and wounded Texas Governor John B. Connally in an open car motorcade in Dealey Plaza. Oswald took a bus and a taxi to his rooming house, departed, and about a mile away was stopped by patrolman J.D. Tippit, who believed that Oswald resembled the suspect and who was already being described over the police radio. Oswald killed Tippit with his mail-order revolver at 1:15 p.m. At about 1:45, Oswald was seized in the Texas Theater by police officers responding to the reports of a suspect. At 1:30 a.m. on November 23, he was formally arraigned for the murder of President Kennedy. On the morning of November 24th, while being transferred from a jail cell to an interrogation office, Oswald was shot by a distraught Dallas nightclub owner, Jack Ruby. Ruby was tried and found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. In October of 1966, a Texas appeals court reversed the conviction, but before a new trial could be held, Ruby died of a blood clot complicated by cancer.
It's rough.
And that's the show, guys. Thank you for watching.
That's it. Bye, guys. It's a good 20-minute show. First off, I guess I don't know where to start with this.
Okay. So let's talk about some of these oddities about Oswald.
All right.
So one of the things that they said was that Oswald had gone to Mexico City, which was true. He did go to Mexico City, and this image right here, this is about him showing how he was pro-Cuba. He's distributing these hands-off Cuba flyers in New Orleans, which were used in the investigation of Oswald. And they knew that he traveled to Mexico City 2 months before the assassination. During his visit, he went to the embassy and met with officials to gain a visa for Cuba and then on to the Soviet Union. There's been speculation to this being connected to a larger conspiracy, which involved Fidel Castro assassinating Kennedy as revenge for the whole Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yeah.
Another photo that came up in the investigation was this photo here. This is a pretty famous photo of Oswald. There's actually a couple photos like this, one where he's got his hands and guns out. But to me, this one seems staged.
It seems very fake. I look at it and it just doesn't. There's so much stuff that just doesn't line up.
Now they tried to paint him like. Okay, here's one bad thing: that Ruby killed Oswald literally like within 48 hours.
Yeah.
So there's nobody supposedly knows why.
Yeah.
Why he did that.
Yep.
So they started just saying he was like a maniac, he was crazy, and had these ideal fantasies and stuff like that. They've talked about saying like the Marine Corps changed him, where he had these radical views and everything then. But I think that's just part of growing up too. Like if things changed from now to like 5 years from now, I'm still going to look back at this time and be like, hey, remember when we could buy guns and we could, vote freely and we say almost anything we want?
We're not like Canada is now, but anyways.
So I mean, growing up, he probably had these ideals coming from Russia.
Yeah.
So
probably
there's that.
I don't know, man. I'm still torn between the fact that I don't know if there's a possibility he could have done
Acted alone.
but there's also a possibility that he wasn't a part of it at all and he was a patsy.
Yeah. Now let's step into that area.
Okay.
So he did have some experience in the military.
Yeah.
And when you're in the military, you do at times come across higher ups. And if you do excel in the military, they will pull you for special assignment. They'll move you around, give you new training for certain elements, especially if they're secretive.
Yep. Black book operations.
Now there's rumor. I guess we'll just say allegedly a lot tonight because we're not making any convictions here.
No.
We're just putting out there some other theories and ideas.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Get you guys thinking a little bit.
Yeah, we're not solving the case here. We're just talking about it.
So, rumor has it that Oswald was brought in by the CIA. At the time, and this is a fact, the head of the CIA was none other than George Bush Sr. And the rumor has it that Lee Harvey Oswald had a handler with the CIA, as most ops do, and that handler was George Bush himself.
Which there's actually a documentary that talks about that. It's called Dark Legacy. I highly recommend you guys check it out.
Free on YouTube.
Yes, free on YouTube. Yes, it's so good.
Now, would the head of the CIA ever really just take on somebody to be the handler? No. Unless there was a huge purpose.
If it was a big operation. And what bigger of an operation than to assassinate the president of the United States? Oof.
That's actually kind of true, Kelly. Saran thing. He was not perfect.
Yep. Yeah, he wasn't a good person. But
no.
So isn't it interesting how when you see the footage of him from the police and the news and stuff, he seems very calm, right? He seems there's no frustration, there's no fight. He's just submitted.
It's like he maybe okay. So if he was being handled by the CIA, they probably told him lies like, "Hey, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna stage the arrest, and then you're gonna go change your name. We're gonna send you back to the USSR."
Yeah, like we're gonna give you what you want, basically like a witness protection program thing.
Yeah,
we're just gonna claim that you were this person. We're gonna fake your death. Go from there.
Give him that confidence, So while he's arraigned and handcuffed and being transferred, he's like, "Ha ha ha ha! I'm getting." Yeah, you got it.
That loose end cuts the loose end.
Yep.
And what better way to do that than the government?
They're going to tell you, hey, we're going to kill you after you finish your mission. And then you're going to be like, well, then I'm not going to do the mission. You're going to kill me. I'm not going to do the mission. Screw you.
What's the point of this?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it lines up perfectly. Plus, he was probably very willing. If he was so pro-Soviet, he was probably just like, yeah, sign me up. I'll do this. Let's go.
I mean, he went to Cuba.
Kill the president or whatever.
He went to Cuba. He was trying to get a visa to go to Cuba and then go to the USSR. Was denied for that. And I bet at that point in times, whenever our government said, hey, you want to go to Russia?
Well, and to be fair, though, it's not necessarily our government. It's mainly the CIA.
Well,
the CIA is separated from the government because when we talk, there's been a lot of talk about the FBI, CIA, and NSA lately. Mm-hmm. And doing not so good things, as we know from Snowden, and now I'm just going to say it, Tucker Carlson. It's come forward that the NSA is following him now as well.
Yep.
But I guess there's some Republicans saying they're going to come forward with news about that tomorrow. But
Well, there's even so in regards to the JFK thing, there's even an aspect of Trump that goes in with this that I'll
Yeah,
talk about in a little while too.
interestingly enough.
So
John
we
Chuck.
have this guy, Lee Harvey Oswald,
Yes.
who's known to have sympathy for that, for the Cubans, for the Russia at the height of the Cold War era, right? So he's got these radical ideas. He's trying his best to get out of the country, it seems like, and they've turned him down. So what's a man to do but broker a deal?
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull this up here. One school of thought is that Oswald actually pulled it off, and the conspiracy was actually the government covering up the fact they let Oswald slip through the cracks. Yeah, I don't believe that one, but there are some people that will just go ahead and believe that. That's fine. That's their thing. But we want to encompass everything here as much as we can in our time.
Yes.
All right. So we've got Oswald. Now, there are some things about this whole mess that really didn't add up. And one of the things that made people question whether or not the Warren Committee was telling the truth was actually one of the main pieces of evidence, I think. And that was the magic bullet.
Yes. This theory is so stupid.
So check this out, guys. This is the bullet. This was the bullet found on the stretcher in Parkland Memorial Hospital. I believe that was the first hospital he went to, right?
Yeah.
According to the Warren Commission, the bullet was the second shot that the gunman had taken, fatally struck the president. Investigators said that the bullet exited Kennedy and hit Connolly, breaking a rib, shattering his wrist, and ending up in his thigh. Now, critics refer to this as the magic bullet theory and claim that a bullet responsible for this much damage couldn't possibly be as intact as it is. And if Connolly and Kennedy were hit by different bullets in a matter of seconds, then it meant that there had to have been another shooter.
Yeah. I will say, in the documentary The Smoking Gun, they talk about how, like, the forensics, see here, my notes. Howard Donahue, he was an expert rifleman. He was the one that actually, it took him 3 tries, but he successfully shot the same gun with the same type of bullets with the same distance. Basically, they recreated the whole scenario.
Yep.
He was able to shoot 3 shots within, I think, 5.2 seconds, which the shooting took place in 5.8 seconds. So, but it took him 3 tries to do it.
And also, his accuracy was not very good.
No, it wasn't the greatest.
So, trying to be accurate.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
So, with that, Howard Donahue decided to basically do like a ballistics investigation. Nobody had looked up ballistics or anything. The government didn't look into the bullets really at all. So he took the bullets, the style of bullet, the impact, all that kind of stuff. And when he said he looked at this bullet, he said that was enough wear and tear to go through 2 people, because that style of bullet's supposed to just clean through, and then basically
and keep traveling.
And keep traveling. Well, it makes sense to stop in the guy's leg because it already went through one body. So it definitely slowed down. Well, it went through his body technically and then into his leg. So it went through 2 bodies and then stopped inside the leg. So it makes sense. And then the way that they described it, you know how with the magic bullet, they said it went in, down, across, zigzag. This doesn't make any freaking sense. This isn't what 1800s where ball bullets would they'd hit and go a different it's not the same.
Wouldn't just explode on contact with a bone and just
exactly that style of bullet, it will not do that. And and not to mention, people don't think about this either because it was not in the Warren Commission for some freaking reason, but the seats that the governor and his wife were sitting in were actually bucket seats in between JFK and the driver, or not JFK and the driver, but the people in front. So these bucket seats, you had the driver, You had the bucket seats were actually kind of inwards a little bit more. They weren't on the edge. They were actually in to create space for the people to get to the back of the car.
Yep.
That way you wouldn't have to worry about getting up or anything like that. So these seats were actually pushed inward. So the guy mapped it out at the perfect angle from the depository down to the car. If you took in the calculations of those seats shifting this way, lined up perfectly with the trajectory. Perfectly. So I do believe that some sort of bullet, I do believe a shot, at least one shot, came from the school book depository. I 100% believe that.
I believe that too. I believe at least maybe 2 shots even came from there.
Because the first shot missed from what a lot of eyewitness reports said.
Yeah.
They could see sparks hit the ground and they thought it was a firecracker. Like, what?
Didn't it hit like near the vehicle though too?
Yeah. Oh, it hit. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of that, in the same documentary, JFK actually says, "My God, I'm shot," or "They shot me," or something. So it was from the first shot. The first shot was the one that hit the ground, and they think that it might have either bounced off or it exploded, and fragments hit JFK in the neck, just like the side of the neck, not like anything to do with your damage. Just something hit him, and he did kind of react to the first shot. But then the second shot where it went through his neck and into the guy, you could see that clear reaction, 100%.
Yeah.
Easy.
Let's see here. I had something else.
No, go for it. Yeah.
Before we dive too much into the shots themselves at this moment.
That's fair.
I do want to come back a little bit during the investigation.
Yes. Sorry.
So during the investigation, I thought this was really interesting. So apparently, I think the CIA or FBI, somebody had been following Oswald. They've been watching him before JFK was assassinated. And they knew he went to Mexico.
Yeah.
And not only did he go to Mexico and were they watching him, but these fellows, there's 2 guys here. 3 photos of the guy in the white shirt, 2 photos of the guy in the dark shirt.
The hairline looks so similar, though. It almost was like the same person.
Almost, yeah.
Like,
so these images were submitted as evidence in the Kennedy assassination case. The men were suspected of being possible conspirators after being seen visiting the Soviet embassy in Mexico City at the same time Oswald was in Mexico City.
Multiple people to get the shots done.
Do what?
Multiple people to get the shots right.
Possibly. So that right there always kind of, I don't know, makes you wonder, like, if there was a conspiracy going, there's 3 guys there.
Well,
Oswald, those 2 guys.
Right, and it's easy enough to just throw it on the one person, Oswald, being the past.
Yeah.
He has this history.
If you're going to take down the president, if you're going to take down the president, wouldn't you need a team?
You'd think.
You would think.
Like
spotters. You would need spotters.
Trajectory, the right timing, everything.
Yeah, guys would have to be able to line everything up.
Yeah. So,
with all the criticism of the Warren report that was starting to happen, so by the early 1970s, many Americans were skeptical of the commission and its conclusions. The most serious threat to the commission's credibility, however, came not from the army of investigative reporters and self-styled assassin experts, but it came from a new government investigation. In December 1978, the House Select Committee on Assassinations, after 2 years of work, concluded that although Oswald was the assassin, there was a conspiracy involving a second gunman. The committee relied on the highly questionable acoustical analysis of a dictabelt recording from a Dallas police headquarters. It contained sounds from a police motorcycle in Dealey Plaza, whose radio transmitting switch was stuck in the on position. How convenient. 2 acoustics experts said that there was a 95% certainty that the recording revealed that 4 shots had been fired at the presidential motorcade. As a result, the House committee came to the bizarre conclusion that there was a second shooter on the grassy knoll and that the shooter fired at the president but missed. So,
which that could have been the one that hit him in the neck, that first shot.
or it could have been the knockback.
Or that's seriously, that's okay. We're going to get into that now.
Let's get into it. Let's get into that headspace.
Okay, so
Womp womp.
you go back and listen to the audio. You can hear 4 shots. You will hear, like, it sounds like 4 gunshots. People thought it was fireworks. People thought it was a car backfiring or motorcycle whatever. They thought that it wasn't a gunshot. Well, when you go, and if you notice too, the gunshots sounded different. Like 2 of them sound the same, and then 2 sound completely different. But
which to me would signify two different types of guns.
Absolutely, two different types of weaponry. So we'll go from the grassy knoll first. It would make sense. It has a lot of cover, a lot of tree cover, easy getaway with the parking lot like right there.
Yeah,
and there's no security watching it. The only security that's really watching anything is on
Motorcade.
ground level, motorcade, right? And from what that Smoking Gun documentary had talked about, those guys were actually out drinking. The Secret Service were actually seen out at a bar late that night before.
Yeah, and so they weren't their sharpest.
Their senses were not. Yeah, they weren't the greatest for this. Which you'd think, hey, maybe we should be. Like
we should be in.
But it's Texas, so I'm sure nobody cared.
Nobody cared. Nobody owns a gun in Texas.
Yeah, nobody owns a gun in Texas. So it would make sense to see why they didn't see it. But I will say there were other eyewitness reports that after that first shot was heard, people looked immediately, heard exactly where it came from. Even the governor, like he heard a shot come from behind. He heard multiple shots come from behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on different directions. He heard one this way, and then anyways, it's so with that impact. If people don't know, just in case, where the impact took place was in the front right side of his head. Like you could, if you go back and watch the Zapruder film, it is graphic. You will see.
We were going to put some imagery and stuff on the podcast here, but just because we're on YouTube, we don't want to get flagged.
Yeah, just in case we don't want to get flagged. So with that headshot, it hits and it just, you see it. Well, he gets knocked back this way. Well, there's the theory that there was another, not a theory, but this is proven. There is 2 shots on the back of Kennedy. There's one in his neck, and then there's one at the top of his head up here. So some people think that kill shot was the one that went in this way and then came out here and it exploded and sent him backwards. Well, I have a hard time believing that, because why would the shot explode towards the front of, like, yes, exit wounds do get big. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have an issue with, like, his body travel.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if something is shot, it doesn't fall towards the gunshot.
No. Yes.
It falls away.
So if it gets even though if its exit wound is huge, they're still gonna fly backwards.
Yeah, that's fly towards the shot. They're not gonna fly towards the shot.
Exactly. You're not gonna get. Never. I'm not. That's. Yeah. You don't get shot and then go forward. Yeah, that doesn't happen. Like,
trying to eat the bullet before it eats me.
The initial impact, yeah, but I mean, you may actually just like fall forward and just like lose whatever, because that's what happens when you get shot.
It's force. It's energy.
When the bullet hits and you see it explode, he goes back. Like in the movie, they say back into the left. I have a hard time believing that shot came from back here, exploded right here, and made him go backwards. I don't think it's possible. Now, I could be proven wrong. It's fine. And for the record, they did see fragments, metal fragments in his brain area. Metal fragments.
Well, didn't they say that some of those fragments were of a different caliber?
They were of a different caliber. So here's the big thing in that which I really respect this, because ballistics work was fantastic on this case. In the documentary Smoking Gun, like I said before, with the 2 shots, they actually discovered that this type of bullet was I think it was either it was from an AR. It was from an assault weapon.
Yeah.
Because this, what was it? The wound in the top of his head and the wound in his neck were two different sizes.
Yes.
The guy that did the investigation actually took a drill and drilled holes to the precise size of the caliber of bullet that went through his neck, and then he took that same bullet and measured it up to the one that went through his head, and that bullet was actually too big to be the bullet that pierced his head.
Right.
Okay? So that tells me that's two different styles of ammo. Oswald, if it was Oswald in the school book depository that hit him in the neck, would not be doing that. That's not regular. That's not normal.
You're not going to fire one shot, pick up another gun, fire different.
Plus the trajectory of where that third shot, like if it actually came through here in the back of his head and exited here, the trajectory is completely wrong because he's hunched over, right? He's hunched over this way. Why is the bullet wound here when the school book depository is up here? You know, bullet wound's coming in this way, coming out this way. That wouldn't happen from the school book depository. The grassy knoll lines up perfectly with the right side of JFK's face.
Now, we're not saying that. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. I'm just covering for people that might have joined us a little late. We are not saying like everything we.
Because we're going to be talking about multiple theories here. This isn't just one thing is solid.
This is what happened. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're talking about these theories, discussing them. You guys can make up your own mind. We're not telling you what to think.
Absolutely.
We're just putting some information out there.
It's just our opinion of what we think happened.
Yeah. And I'm trying to use allegedly a lot because I don't want to like say this is what happened.
Now, when I'm referring to the ballistics expert, of course, I'm going to refer to that as truth because
that's what the guy said.
Was verified.
Now, Kelly put this, and I've been waiting.
Yeah.
Kind of biding my time on it. The shooting took place on a Friday morning. Took place on a Friday. Monday morning, that car was in Detroit getting fixed on the orders of LBJ. Whatever happened to preserving a crime scene? Okay, so funny thing about LBJ. Here's a little backstory that a lot of people don't know. So JFK, I'm trying to remember this correctly. I believe I want to say his favorite color was like blue or something like that. Blue or red. I'm going to get these two colors mixed up. The colors are important. But it was either blue or red, right? When president is elected, the first lady gets to redecorate. They get like $150,000 to redecorate the White House. So she had it decorated to the liking of Kennedy. So a week before Kennedy was assassinated, Lyndon B. Johnson's wife put out an order and had the decorations in the White House changed to like red, which were the colors that LBJ liked. That's not weird, right? There's a lot more weird stuff that happened leading up to. If I can find the documentary that I watched about that, there's a whole thing about LBJ and his involvement.
Oh yeah, I think I knew, but whatever.
So I think it was like maybe an hour or 2 hours, but almost right after Kennedy was assassinated, LBJ was on a plane there in Dallas. And right then and there, they swore him in as president, right? Funny story is the guy that swore him in didn't have the paper to do the swear-in. Lyndon B. Johnson apparently did one of these.
Oh, here you go. Look, I have one right here.
He just happened to have one. Now, there's photos of this swearing in that you can find. There's two of them, actually. There's one where he's kind of looking over his shoulder, and there's a guy back in the background winking at him or something like that. Like, come on. So I do believe that LBJ had something to do with this.
I just feel weird that Jackie Kennedy was like right there. She was right there during this entire thing.
Yeah.
Like, I would want to be like the farthest away from these people.
I'd want to be with my husband.
Yeah. Not with these people.
Yeah.
Anyways, I would have just been in sheer horror. But you know what? Actually, I'm sure the Secret Service was like, no, you can't. No.
Yeah, we'll be over there.
So
Something else could happen.
another thing that lines up with preserving evidence, right? So in Texas law, if a crime happens, death, something, there had to be an autopsy happen. You had to do an autopsy no matter what.
Yes.
Well, the Secret Service decided to take it upon themselves and threatened the doctor with force to leave the hospital.
And not only that,
to go to the other hospital for the
Yeah.
They specifically wanted to go back to the hospital in DC. Is that where it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to go
That's right.
back to that hospital to do the autopsy. So from there to there.
And also, when they went in there was reporters. There are a select few individuals. They confiscated all their photos and recordings.
The Secret Service took
Secret Service
everything and promised,
Even-
we'll make copies.
Even in DC, they allowed one photographer in to take pictures, and then they confiscated his photos, his film rolls. They confiscated all of it. They
Now
told him
they're-
that, they told him that he would receive a copy.
Yep.
But I believe what he did receive, I think, were just like shots that had nothing to do with the
Yeah.
kill.
Nope. Even the FBI reports when they were in the hospital from the doctor examining the wound and trying to save Kennedy, there was a bunch of people in that room. The doctor was getting furious several times. Even the hospital's administrator basically told them to stop pushing certain things and to hurry up and just wrap. Like they didn't care to do a full like thing to try to like save him and try to do whatever. Because I mean, he was dead. Don't get me wrong, but the doctor's like, all right, let's just wrap it up. It was the fact that they needed to say, no, we did do this, but they didn't care how much time they took.
Right.
That's sloppy.
So let's kind of get into a why. Why would people want Kennedy dead?
Yeah.
Now, Kelly says LBJ was a Texan, of course. His buddies were oil people. Kennedy wanted to stop the war in Vietnam. Wars take fuel. Draw
Which
your own
lines
conclusions.
right up with Bush.
It does.
Because Bush was in the oil business big time.
And also, this is another theory that I've seen presented. So the Cold War was a moneymaker as well.
Huge.
As long as it was going, people were living in fear. People were buying stuff. The economy was getting good. Well, there was reports that Kennedy was in talks with the USSR on a joint space station.
Yep.
If we're in talks with the USSR on a joint space station, wouldn't that mean that the Cold War would be coming to an end?
Yeah.
And peace would be brokered?
And all those big money douchebags would have been pretty much dried up.
Yep.
But
that
with
was
the
one
oil
of the
fields,
things.
They could help militaries. They could help other nations. They had oil supplies like it was nothing.
Yeah. That was one of the theories that I had seen pop up. Another one that I found interesting was people talking about how the mafia was involved.
Yeah.
So
we do need to talk about the Secret Service before we move on to the next subject.
okay.
Let's
Before I
talk
get
about
to
yours. Yes.
no, well, I've got a video to accompany mine. So let's talk about the Secret Service.
There's one thing that people. So another thing that the Warren Commission messed up on is they left out a lot of eyewitness reports. So the Dallas police did a huge canvas of the area and were just investigating people and just asking questions left and right. And several witnesses confirmed that there was an AR-15 in the cab of the Secret Service car behind the president.
Yes.
So those are the only two known active guns at this crime scene is the assault rifle and then the AR rifle or the rifle that the Secret Service had used.
I believe it was an AR.
It was an AR. It was officially, and it was a new AR. There was this. Yeah. This was actually like a very recent thing that they didn't have service rifles on their cars before or with them before. This was a fairly new thing, and then shortly after this incident, they stopped doing it.
And go ahead and share why that matters.
Yes. So why it matters that the CIA, or not CIA, the Secret Service had a rifle. So the guy, the Secret Serviceman that had the rifle was Agent Hickey, right?
Yep.
And Agent Hickey was actually a driver. His job as the Secret Service person was mainly as a driver. He took care of the cars, he did most of the driving, whatever. Well, with the known reports of the Secret Serviceman partying that night, he would have probably been the better person to take care of the car, or to take care of the rifle, to be the person in charge of the rifle. So the way that it goes is people's eyewitness testimonies. And
There's actually a video too.
Oh, okay. There's video to support it as well. It is said in these eyewitness testimonies that he could be seen standing up with the rifle in hand, like so, and with the safety off, ready to go. Well, in this time of him moving and grabbing the rifle, the third shot happens and he falls backwards into the car, is what several eyewitnesses said. Now, also take into account that several eyewitnesses, including other people in the motorcade and citizens around watching this to happen, said that they smelled gun smoke. So it would make sense that the people in the cars behind them smelled the gun smoke from this rifle going off on the ground floor. You're not going to smell gun smoke from the school book depository when the school book depository is already downwind.
And 6 stories up.
6 stories up. So that's impossible. That's physics. So when you have people in the car and people in the surrounding area saying that they could smell gunfire or smell the whatever, the rifle smoke,
yeah,
that tells me something. And here's the thing. The bullet that would have been used for that rifle would have been the exact same size and caliber that would have gone through the back of his head and the one that would have exploded here.
And they said that the car jolted, like either they hit the gas or hit the brake or something. I think it was a gas, or they hit a bump.
They hit the gas because
he fell backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Agent Hickey actually lied in his report in the Warren Commission. He said that he grabbed the gun, cocked it, and it was ready to go. That's false. Multiple service members, even the head guy, said anytime they used a rifle, it was ready to go. 100%. All they had to do was switch it to the live fire mode. They turned the safety off.
Yeah.
So Hickey lied. It was not ready to go. It was, and he also said that he grabbed the rifle as they were heading under the bridge. No.
Which was a lie.
He grabbed the rifle beforehand.
So when he fell backwards, it said that he had a misfire. Squeezed the trigger, had a misfire, and potentially that was a shot that ended the life of JFK.
Yeah, that was actually the shot that ended the life of JFK. How messed up. And then, like I said, with them trying to push his body out of the first hospital to get it to the next one, covering up stuff, and then taking all the evidence and not giving it back.
Yeah. They could be perfect. The CIA could have been covering up their mistake.
Yeah, and the Warren Commission, with them not having all of the eyewitness reports in this, that just tells me it was one big cover-up. Now, I'm not saying it was necessarily a cover-up as in the government was covering up killing JFK purposefully. It could have been a complete accident.
What kind of image would that have been on the CIA? That they couldn't protect their president. They even accidentally killed him.
Yeah, that's exactly. You know? And that was so the head guy of the Secret Service at the time, he was actually saying is like, he was trying to stand up for his men and just claim there was nothing they could have done to prevent this. Nothing. So he was trying to go there and trying to protect the boys.
Now, we're not saying that there was not an assassination attempt. Yeah, there was. That's not at all
what I'm saying.
But
no, definitely.
There was a lot of things at play.
Yeah, this could have been a full-on accident where the car jolted, he fell backwards and pulled the trigger accidentally and got him. That would have, that's just one of the biggest oops.
It's like, crap.
Dude, you just shot the president.
The assassin did it. Whoever did it, they were successful.
The moment in history was just forever changed like that.
Yeah.
All right. What were you going to talk about? Sorry.
So what I was getting into was back to the assassination attempts,
Well,
like who would have had motive to do this?
yeah.
And one of the people that we hadn't really talked about yet was the mafia.
Hmm.
We all know that JFK was sleeping with Marilyn Monroe. They had their tryst, but Marilyn was, and JFK, actually the Kennedy family was pretty well tied in with the mafia.
Yeah.
And some people say there was a jealousy thing there with Marilyn and JFK, and that's why the whole assassination. That's one thing. Maybe why Marilyn killed herself too.
I don't think she killed herself, but
Yeah.
whatever.
But a lot of people dismiss that because it's like, the mafia couldn't make a hit like that on a president.
Oh yeah, they could. Oh yeah, especially if they have ties into the CIA or Secret Service. Absolutely.
There's an interesting video series that's out there, talking with some mafia people. I'm trying to think of the guy's first name, but his last name's, I think, Russo. There's a video where a mob member talks briefly about the JFK assassination. And I'm going to share this video with you guys because there's some interesting tidbits of information in this.
How long is the video?
About 5 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Go for it. Because are we going to listen to the whole thing?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Little small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 5 minutes, and it's definitely worth a listen to, and it's going to bring up some other points to kind of fall back to, and also going to lead us back in a circle to some other aspects. So let me grab this video real quick. Here we go. Anyway.
Nice. Cutting loose things.
Right? So what they're saying is, or what this guy's saying is, that there was two mobsters involved with the killing or the assassination of Kennedy. And the kill shot came from Chicago, whatever his name is. Another gangster. Who was in the storm sewer, but that would not make sense because of trajectory.
I mean, I've never really actually studied where the storm sewer is at, like where he
would be down.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is he could have gotten out, taken the shot, and then escaped through the storm sewer.
Well, if the bullet hit the back of the head and came out the right front, if there's a storm sewer over here, it could have done it.
I mean, could have had him in the front. I'd have to go back and look because I never even heard anything about a storm cellar, so that makes a lot of sense.
So, and if he was talking about how, like, just before that, Lee Harvey Oswald had a meeting with the mobsters.
It could have been a combination of the CIA and the mobsters.
Could have been.
Because he did say that two of those shooters were CIA, didn't he?
They said that they were trained by the CIA or Marines. But yeah, I mean, but then again, I mean, could they just be wanting to take credit for it because it makes them look like they're bigger than they actually are?
True.
That's what I think, honestly. But Josh is saying so many ex-mobsters and other people have all said Russo is so full of crap about most of what he says. Well, that could be true, but that also could be them covering up.
Yeah.
Everything.
They could be denying, just deny.
Yeah. It's like, what was it? When some of these Hollywood people would come out about pedophile rings, they got blacklisted in Hollywood, like Shia LaBeouf. He came out about the Illuminati, came out about a lot of stuff that was going on in Hollywood, got blacklisted like really hard. Instantly, like they dropped him from any films being made.
And usually they end up if you like try to actually go forward and like come out with stuff. If they don't kill you, they try to blame you like ahead of time. They try to smear your name.
Yeah.
Their methods are either suicide, like citing someone, or like deifying you in the news. The news is so powerful; people don't understand.
Oh yeah, if the news says it, it has to be true, right?
100%.
It's the news for a reason.
Yep. Absolutely, 100%. Mainstream media.
Yep.
But what? So you made a comment earlier about Trump possibly being tied to JFK.
Okay.
What was that? What was that tie?
Let me bring this up here. And this comes from Stephen M. Gillen, who's a professor of history at the University of Oklahoma. And it said, let's see.
And Josh did go on to say that many mob guys have said the mob had something to do with it. So
Right.
I could see it, honestly. I could totally see it.
Where was it? I had it in my notes here somewhere. I hope I didn't delete it on accident. Okay. It said many historians hope that the highly, let me go back a little bit. The final commission report states that without any supporting evidence, that Oswald became disillusioned with Castro in Cuba after he was denied a visa to enter that country in late September. There is tantalizing evidence that just the opposite is true. As the Hoover memo suggests, it is more likely that Oswald killed Kennedy in order to convince Cuban authorities to accept his petition for visa. So he's doing it to like gang initiation, right?
Mm.
So many historians hope that the highly publicized release of the remaining documents would help resolve these lingering questions. Unfortunately, President Trump had promised full transparency, but at the very last minute, he gave in to pressure from the CIA and decided to keep some material classified. The new documents include some tantalizing details about previously well-known assassination plots against Fidel Castro, but they fail to address the central question about Oswald's intent or shed light on the CIA's actions in Mexico City. So there's no known reason why the CIA was in Mexico City when Oswald was.
Yeah.
They just say that they were watching him, but why would they just be watching him? In the 60s, a lot of people were radical.
If you think about
everybody's against a war.
If Oswald had ties into the CIA / what have you,
yeah,
it would make sense that when he went to talk to SSR or wherever the embassies, it would make sense that they had somebody following him because they didn't want him to turn against them. He was there. Yeah. Like if he were to do something, they probably
he was already the patsy.
Yeah, like they wanted to make sure like they had their guy, you know.
And okay, so if we start diving into this, like it's one of those movies, like what's that one? The Recruit, which is a good CIA movie.
Such a good one.
Al Pacino's great man.
Yeah, such a great movie.
Love that man. But, great actor.
Yeah,
but what I was going to say was like him visiting could have also been him trying to have a backup plan. Because if he did this, maybe he knew he would have been killed. And so he would go to this, he would make an escape to these countries.
Yeah.
They would help him get away. Yeah.
He would have information and on a bunch of other people.
Yeah. And if he thought he had asylum, maybe he was like, whatever, I'm going to get deported to.
Yeah.
Because I got a visa for killing the president. So now you have to like deport me to this country.
Like, hey, I assassinated the president. You're welcome. Also, can I stay here?
Yeah, the Cuban government's going to take me, and or the Russian government's going to take me. No, maybe he just thought that way. Maybe they told him, yeah, you do that, you'll get a visa.
Yeah.
Maybe see that's the whole thing. Like the CIA could have promised him, hey, we'll get you into Russia. Or maybe Russia themselves or Cuba themselves said, yeah, you do this, we'll get you your visa.
What do you think is so damning that Trump would delay certain information? What do you think that was? Could it have been?
Well, he's not delaying it. He just wasn't going to do it because at the last minute, the CIA pressured him into not releasing it.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
So my guess is they threatened him, like very extensively. Yeah, because so when Jesse Ventura became governor of Minnesota, he always talks about this. When he became the governor of Minnesota, he was taken down into the basement of, I think, the Capitol building, sat in a chair in a dark room with a light, and there was about 6 people in the room with him. And they told him things that he was not at liberty to discuss, and if he did, what would happen. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
there were certain rules he had to play by.
Yeah.
To be governor. And so to me that really set Ventura off on this whole deep state conspiracy theory kind
It's
of thing.
real.
When he had his show Conspiracy Theories, I mean, he got pulled because he started telling the truth. He started putting shit out there.
I think it's 100% real, but
yeah. So he has no reason to lie.
No, whatsoever. A lot of people have no reason to lie, yet people get censored for it on the daily.
I mean, people. So, just on touching on Ventura for this minute here. So people could say, yeah, he just wants to stay in the limelight or whatever. He's an ex-governor. He doesn't have to stay in the limelight. He will always be in the limelight.
Yeah.
He was an ex-pro wrestler, a well-known one, and an actor. The guy's done a lot of stuff. Yeah. He's not just.
He wasn't. He was pretty successful.
He was damn successful.
Like, just saying, he was pretty successful.
Yeah. So I mean, him trying to reap some benefit out of being in the limelight, I think that's a bunch of crap.
I do too.
And there's a reason why he lives in Mexico now.
Well, I mean, look at if you really want to get into it here recently, McAfee.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about it.
You said McAfee, and I was thinking of Pat McAfee, the NFL punter.
No.
He's got his own podcast.
John McAfee.
But the conspiracies are real, guys. There's reason why people disbelieve a lot of the reports that get put out there.
Well, look at Teddy was killed not too long after. And
his brother.
JFK's son died in a tragic accident, as some would believe.
Now, we never touched on Jack Ruby.
No, we didn't.
So I think it all boils down to, with Jack Ruby, I think it all boils down to somebody cleaning up a mess.
Yes, he was tying a loose end.
And then he became a loose end and got tied up. But if he did die naturally in prison, I think that's just lucky for whoever. But I think he was being treated well, probably. Yeah. He had to have been.
I'm sad that we didn't get any information out of Oswald. We didn't get anything.
No.
That helped so much if someone would be able to sit down and talk to him. They did.
Oh yeah, they had to got something out of them.
I guarantee the CIA. I guarantee that the Secret Service at least went in there and did something, or the cops.
If it wasn't Secret Service or CIA, if CIA went in there, they would have debriefed him.
Yeah.
And then that would have been that.
Yeah, that's it. Like it's so sad how this whole case was handled. First off, I wouldn't be moving the dude in the public. What? Why? Sorry.
The guy killed the president of the United States.
Yeah, this guy killed the president of the United. Why are you moving him around in public without some sort of safety vest?
In broad daylight.
It literally. Would you know there's hundreds of people awaiting outside this hospital? Why? It's just like, let's just
taking a lamb to slaughter.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's say this outlaw comes into town and kills like the most prominent person, and then he's captured by the sheriff, whatever, and then the whole town is now surrounding the jail, wanting to murder this guy for what he did. You don't do that. Like, what?
You don't sit there and look around and be like, I guess it's getting a little unsafe here. We better move to a different county.
Sorry, that was echo. My bad.
That's fine.
It's just like, why? And I always forget this case and what it's called, but why would they take, so here in Kansas City, the massacre at Union Station with the mob,
mm-hmm.
You did it in broad daylight. Like, you were moving this guy, and then the mob comes up and kills him. Like, it would make a lot of sense. It's their tactics. It's what they do.
Hey, when it comes to criminals, you can pay off the cops to handle a criminal. They don't want to have to deal with that.
Well, and they also love hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, true too. I don't know. There's so many aspects of this case that got screwed up from the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. The Warren Commission, I think, did a horrible job. And I think if it would have been up to the Texas investigators, not the Warren Commission, the military, I think it would have been handled, or the government, I should say, it would have been handled so much better. The state investigators did such a great job at questioning the witnesses and getting all the details.
Yeah, they were actually pretty thorough.
Yeah,
And
very
they even
thorough.
provided a lot of the information for the Warren report.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just sad that years later, after the fact, there was better information
Yeah,
than there was at the time when the information was still fresh.
it's because certain
And then-
people are dead and information can get out now.
And then, like, with aside from the information that's being kept secret and will never get released, outside of that, I think some people have done an extensively good job on their own investigations.
I agree.
Kelly says we never talked about the autopsy. No one knows where his brain ended up.
That is true. The brain was supposed to be sent. Oh, what was it? The hospital administrator said that the brain was wanted to be kept by the family, and I think it was given to like CIA or Secret Service or something like that. And just like the evidence, was never seen again.
Yeah, you'll never see stuff like that.
Nope, it will never ever be seen again. Like they
evident.
could have presented this brain to the person that wanted him dead and was like, "There's Kennedy." Like,
Yeah. Well,
how messed up is that?
If they kept that brain in a jar or something, kept it fresh,
that's true.
people years later can be like, "Oh, there's where the bullet went. This is not.
Yeah.
This was not the same bullet."
Right. Well, okay. And there was also, I remember hearing, I think it was in Dark Legacy, from the time that when he traveled from Texas to DC, there was plenty of time where his casket was left alone, where his body was just by itself. And there was reports that the wound that was seen at the hospital looked completely different than the wound that was at the other hospital in DC.
Right.
It's that they think that there was some, like, other investigators went through and they think that the wound had changed somehow. It's just like,
Body doubles.
Well, I don't know about necessarily body doubles. I think somebody could have gone in there and like carved up the wound to try to mess it up, to try to distinguish.
Like destroy it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the AR that was shot was the kill shot, the AR's probably shooting a 22, which is probably going to be a smaller caliber than what Lee Harvey Oswald was using, right?
No, actually, it wasn't a 22. It was like a 223 5.56. It was one of the two. That's what the AR was shooting.
Okay.
It was like an AR-15 is basically what the rifle was.
But still, that's 223 is going to be a smaller caliber than that rifle.
Yes, it is a smaller. That's why I was saying they
could have
was bigger, which was the rifle that Oswald shot. That neck wound was bigger than the head wound.
Yeah. So if somebody did change it, they would have known that CIA goofed up, fouled up, accidentally shot the president. So we got to go in there. We got to make that hole bigger.
Yeah. What was it? Because you got to think about it. They didn't do the autopsy then. They were like, "Hey, we tried to revive him. Can't do anything about it. Now let's transport him. Let's go."
Yeah.
Have a good one, Josh. I think that they tampered with the evidence, much like, and that would make a lot of sense as why the Secret Service didn't want to do an autopsy there, because they were instructed, no, we're going to do something on the way, or they may not have been instructed on that, but it's theories, and that's why I love talking about it, because there are many different kinds of theories.
And there's a lot of different documentaries out there you can watch about this. One that I do recommend is the one I had Charles watch, which was the Smoking Gun, which is great film.
To be fair, I have seen it, but only bits and pieces. There were parts that I was watching that I was like, "Oh, I've totally seen this." Like, just stood out to me. Yeah. So it was good. It was a really good, well thought out documentary. Like I said, went over the ballistics of the investigation, which I thought was very, very well done.
Crucial too.
Absolutely. And then
why they never did a ballistics thing back then, I don't.
But the Dark Legacy really goes into like connections and behind the scenes stuff, and I think that highly recommend you watch it.
I think that's a completely different aspect to the conspiracy, which I think is can really take you down a dark, deep
Oh, yeah.
rabbit hole.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, I wish I could. I've been trying to find this movie or this video for the last 7 years because I watched it like 11 years ago, and it talked about Kennedy's. Like it was tying Kennedy's assassination to NASA, the Russians, Lyndon B. Johnson, and even Barack Obama.
Huh.
Yeah, because Obama actually was during his presidency that NASA stopped.
Well, I was gonna say because NASA, that was when this like the space race was happening, and JFK, we're gonna send a man on the moon, and it,
And they did, and then they were going to do the space station.
Yeah,
I think, and then of course during Obama's presidency,
I'm sure
they stopped doing anything like that.
If JFK actually was in talks with the USSR to do a United Space Station, maybe the NASA didn't want to work with the USSR and was like, nah, screw that.
Yeah, there was something interesting with the NASA aspect, which goes into symbolism.
Very much
If you
so.
look at all their patches, you'll see symbolism of the constellation Orion. And what does Orion have to do with civilization?
That's where it began, my friend. It was in the belt.
The third star in the belt.
Yep. I've always had a strange drawing to Orion, and not because of Men in Black, but just in general.
Yeah.
I've always had a strange, like...
But there was always the constellation or the reference to the belt.
Yep.
Or I was thinking there was something to the number 7 or something like that. They would do like these weird things. Anyway, but like there's a lot of symbolism in all the NASA patches. Like if you go through them, there's a lot of similarities in symbolism with the Orion constellation, and I love it. And then it kind of ties in with the.
Well, I mean, if you want to go,
I think Kennedy knew about aliens and NASA killed him.
Yes. Thank you. So there is theories that aliens there is a race of aliens. I don't know what they're exactly called, but they're from Orion, and they were the part of the builder aliens or whatever that helped us develop into the species that we are today. But
every ancient civilization talks about the constellation of Orion and that particular star,
and some sort of sky people,
whether
they're gods or just things coming from the sky.
The Aztecs, the Mayans, the ancient Egyptians, Sumerians. Yep.
Yeah, Sumerians. Like all of them. If you go back and look at all these ancient... Shoot, you could go back to Indian culture with Vimanas. You had the flying ships in space. They talked about like epic wars and battles being fought in space by their gods.
Yeah.
Right?
So you have all these ancient civilizations talking about this creation from Orion's belt. And then now you have NASA putting this symbolism in their patches.
Yep.
And Kennedy's heavily involvement with NASA and the space station and all that stuff. I mean, this Kennedy Space Center is named after John F. Kennedy, for crying out loud.
I mean,
so there's a deep connection there.
Well, and to go with that, maybe Kennedy was trying to prep the American people for
what they discovered on the moon.
Well, not just what they discovered on the moon, but maybe he was going to be a disclosure president.
Maybe.
And release, because here's the thing. Nuclear energy was really starting to get big at this point, right?
Yeah.
And that would have been the perfect time, because when I think of like nuclear energy, I think of like the games like Fallout and stuff like that, which that would have been the perfect time for that stuff to take off. It would have, oh my gosh, if they would have come out with nuclear energy in the 60s, things would be completely different right now.
Well, I mean, they came up with, I think they had already had nuclear energy. They just weren't.
What I'm saying is like civilian. If it would have come out with civilian, things would be completely different than what we are right now. So I think he could have, he was on the verge of possibly some sort of disclosure, and they could have waxed him for it, for all we know. We don't know 100% know, of course, but I think JFK knew more than what he was supposed to, or he was about to say something and it was taken care of. There's many different, you could tie it to different conspiracy theories, but it makes a lot of sense that.
So they did have nuclear power plants.
Yeah, see, there you go.
They had nuclear power plants. The first one put up was in 1958.
That
First
lines up
commercial,
perfectly.
first commercial nuclear power plant at Shippingport, Pennsylvania.
That lines up perfectly. Seriously, that's so good. So it would make a lot of sense.
Thanks, Riley.
All right, Riley, take care. It would make a lot of sense that it would be very different had Kennedy lived. Yes,
Absolutely.
The world, I think, would be a much better place, but we'll just have to rely on somebody else to finish the job. But anyways, it would make sense that Kennedy knew about our space advancements. Like he could have tried to come forward with it. And because if you think about it, Space Force.
If he was going to come forward with it, this is exactly what would have happened to him.
Yeah. I bet he knew about the Space Force and all this kind of stuff. And with him saying, hey, we're going to go to the moon before the end of the decade, right?
I'll be right back. Go ahead, keep talking. I'm listening.
No, it's okay. So they're going to the moon before the end of the decade. So it would make sense that if he tried to prep us by going to the moon and be like, all right, we're going to come out with this new technology to help our travels like in space increase in vast amount of ways.
Yeah.
That they would have killed him for it. That if he would have come forward and been like, hey, we have this kind of technology in the military right now where we're able to do this amazing stuff and we want to start releasing it to the citizens. Oh, man, I guarantee the government was like, nope, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So let's boil it down to this. I'm going to ask you a direct question here, Charles.
Okay.
Not how, but why do you think there was an assassination attempt on Kennedy directly?
Why?
What's your personal opinion on why?
Well, I kind of have to think about it now because with having this new light from watching The Smoking Gun where Oswald could have actually been the shooter, but I remember watching the movie and it was a very detailed movie and they were saying that in eyewitness reports put Oswald downstairs and not actually up in the depository when the said shooting happened. So it's just like, but why they shot him for it? Okay, yes, so why? Here's multiple whys.
I need one direct one that you think of.
I think of multiple though. I don't think of just one.
What one stands out to you, my good sir?
Why he would have been assassinated. Control.
A little more specific.
Okay, well, I mean, if Kennedy was going to give information and work with the USSR, they would have lost control. They would have had no more control. When I say they, I mean like deep state. But I think that's why they would kill him. But like I said, I wanted to do multiple because what if it was the mob, or what if it was specific people, or what if it was just Oswald? Like, you know what I mean? There's multiple things here, but I really think it could have been because he was trying to change things in a different way that they didn't like, and he was taken out.
I kind of follow where you're at, and I kind of lean that way too in an aspect of I think what it boils down to is money.
Yeah.
If it's going to be a chain of events that led to this, of course, you know, you've got people in the energy business, oil.
That's another thing. If they would have gone nuclear, the oil companies would have been out of business.
But if they went nuclear, that probably would have meant they would have been dealing with Russia. But they were starting to go nuclear anyway. Like I said, in 1958 was when the first nuclear power plant was put up for a town.
Kelly, money and power.
But like with the oil business, at the time, like you said, it's been 10 years. We've done with the nuclear. Yeah. So, okay, my brain's just going into the ether now. So, ancient civilizations would talk about how nuclear power, like Sodom and Gomorrah, like people have said that happened over nuclear power is what destroyed Sodom.
Jericho.
Because they found the glass shards when there's a nuclear blast, certain
The sand
minerals,
particles will glass over.
yeah, will become glass basically, and that's what happened at this area that they believe is Sodom.
Side note, that's happened at a lot of ancient locations, FYI.
Yes. So this goes into the whole aliens thing, but it also kind of goes with the oil business too, because if oil is the more dominant business, then nuclear power is not so much the top dog.
Not to mention energy, the resource of charging people for energy.
Yeah.
Like nuclear power would have been, it is much more sustainable.
Look, Tesla wanted to have free energy for everybody.
Yes.
But no, they decided that wouldn't be a good
Tesla was
thing.
able to literally create energy out of nothing.
Yeah.
He found people.
So there's always money to be made. And if you're taking money away from one mouth and giving it to somebody else, then I think that's a good push for people to get together.
Yeah. And you want to know the best example of money control today? Big Pharma.
Yep.
Why cure somebody when we can treat them and have them spend more money?
Mm-hmm.
We are a resource to the elites, basically. Our money is a resource to them, and they're going to get it the best way they can. If you look at the amount of elite businesses, how much they've made in this last year from the pandemic, it's freaking insane. It's insane.
It's astronomical. And they want to do it again too.
Yeah, and now that the inflation's increasing the prices while they're printing off a bunch of money. But anyways,
so here's another thing to consider. The economy under JFK was actually doing really good.
It was doing very good.
And JFK, I believe, was a Democrat.
Yes, he was. Wait. Yes.
So since JFK, how well have the Democrats done with our economy? Anybody have any answers? I can tell you what it is.
These past 5 months have really shown that effect, hasn't it?
Even under Obama, we had like the housing market crash. There's a lot of crap that had gone on. So JFK was not necessarily following the democratic law. Basically, he was not your typical Democrat.
He was actually an American president, but whatever.
Yeah, he was a Democrat that was for America.
Yeah, that's
and not for. He wasn't doing things
his own personal.
He wasn't easily bought off, and I think mentally, he probably had like this confidence because he had ties with the mob, and now
they're not going to do anything about it.
And now, as a president, he has presidential power. He can utilize certain aspects of the military or the FBI, things like that. But you can't control the CIA.
No.
You can't control.
You can control the CIA. You can control the FBI. You can control Secret Service. Like, they're their own groups and they have authority.
So with the economy kind of on the rise with him, I think people thought that was going to be just, I guess, destructive to their pocketbooks, really, and to their their enterprise.
When things start getting great for the people, the elites start shutting down.
Yeah, they're like, okay, they've had their fun.
Which is funny because, when you give people more money to spend, they tend to spend it, which makes everybody happy, right?
Yeah. If I was making more money, I'd spend more money. Right. Now that I'm not making so much, I'm not spending very much.
Yeah, it
just makes sense to me. But what do I know? I'm just a consumer.
All right. We're just consumers in this crazy mad world. Okay, so again, did you have anything to add to the reason why you think, or why they killed him, do you think?
Because my main reasoning, I mean, that whole alien thing ties in, the nuclear power, the oil, all that stuff. And it's kind of what Kelly's talking about, money and power. It's because he was not fitting the bill for Democrats.
Okay, so I see what you mean. Okay, yeah, so that goes along with the control and power that I was trying to talk about. But you explained it in a much better way. Yeah, I think that he was going down a different path than what they wanted him to go down, and they were like,
He
what's
couldn't
the
be.
best way we can take care of one of our own? Oh, let's just kill him.
He himself was a renegade against the Democrats and
Yeah,
against if there at the time, which I'm pretty sure there was, the deep state or secret societies,
yeah.
what they were wanting him to do, he was not doing it,
Well, no,
and he
because
was
he was
going against the
actually
grain.
he was for the people. He wanted to do what the American people wanted him to do, and
Yep.
that's what they were afraid of, because
Yeah.
they don't care about the American people.
No,
I
and we see
wish
this in other
people-
countries. With
I wish,
Gandhi.
I wish people would understand that.
Yeah.
It's not the
So-
way to go.
So let me ask you, the audience, what is your reason that you believe, or what do you believe was the reason that JFK was assassinated?
Yeah.
It could be extensive. You can leave paragraphs, or you can leave one line, whatever you want. Put it in the comments, and it'll be fascinating what you guys may have heard, what you've read, what you saw, and what you believe. Because this, again, is a topic that is just, there's so many branches to this. So many freaking branches, and we've discussed on a lot of them. I mean, mafia. We went to accidental shootings. We went to the aliens. We went to CIA, Cuba, Russia. Guys, it's everywhere. So let us know what you think on this, and I guess now we should probably pick our topic for next week.
Let's do it.
Oh, and also subscribe and like this. By the way,
Subscribe, like, and share, and tell your friends about us. We need to, help us get out there.
all right, topic for next week.
Let's do it. Okay, so
Anybody having ideas for topics? Throw them in there. We'll consider it.
I love this book.
Oh, nice.
It's not a very big book, but it's.
Did you just get it?
No, I've had this book for a while.
Oh, okay. It looks brand new. It's like you never cracked it open.
Oh, I've several times. Like one of the ones is look at that.
Oh no!
Oh man! All right, so
That old
let's see here. What do we
chestnut.
got? What do we got here? I don't want to do conspiracy theory because we've already done conspiracy theory.
Yeah, we just did one.
Oh, we could do like a secret occult groups.
Wouldn't that be conspiracy?
Not really, because if they're true, that's not conspiracy.
But what if they're not known to be true, or they don't know, like Illuminati?
Then we can talk about ones that are 100% true, like Aleister Crowley's groups.
We could do secret societies. That's fine.
I mean, we don't have to.
I'm just busting your balls.
It's not conspiracy when it's true.
Or is it?
We could do like occult groups, like not really like conspiracy groups, like not like the Masons or what have you, but like groups that were known to do ritualistic processes. Or we could talk about
Aleister Crowley,
yeah,
the man, the myth, the legend.
who, by the way, when he was channeling a demon, supposedly, did you see? You know what that picture looks like? Have you seen that picture?
No.
Looks like an alien, dude. Looks like a gray. Yeah.
Is it an actual photograph?
Let me look it up real quick. Give me a second. I'll share it real quick. Got it. It's as soon as I saw this picture, I was just like, whoa.
And by the way, Kelly, I think you're right too.
All right, it's ready.
Oh, it's a drawing.
Yeah, it's a drawing of what he saw, what he
okay.
described.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, no, this isn't. I wasn't talking like actual like picture like.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I do also agree with Kelly. I think there was a lot of misplaced trust in the secret groups of our government. Like even in today's world, there's so much shady stuff with FBI, CIA, NSA, spying on people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why people reference like, "Hey, Big Brother, like people spying on us right now or listening in on our conversations.
They're talking about JFK. We better.
Oh, we better make sure they're not talking about specific stuff. I mean, they're not going to worry about us anyway. We're just a small time podcast.
Yeah.
I will say it was kind of weird though. I was starting to talk about details, and I got a random phone call on my phone.
Like, no, Charles,
Yep.
no.
I was just like, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to answer it. Nope.
All right. So secret societies next week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Guys, I want to say thank you for joining us. And if you haven't already, subscribe and like the video, and also share us with your friends. We are on Facebook as well. So if you want to find Boogeyman Radio on Facebook, like and follow that page. We will try to post some weird stuff from time to time. Charles, did we ever get you as one of the admins on there?
No, it's still not giving me an update to be an admin, or else I would post stuff probably daily.
Yeah. I kind of count on you for that.
Yeah, I can't. I literally can't.
We're going to try it again. We'll try it again tonight.
All right. Sounds good.
But anyway, follow the Facebook page. We'll be making a Twitter here soon.
Yes.
Probably an Instagram or something like that. Also, don't forget, Haunting History's got a new episode coming out this week. So be keeping an eye out for that. And that's about it, guys. Anything you want to add, Charles?
Nah, I'm all set, man.
All right. Well,
Thanks,
you guys have a
guys.
good night. And when is the 4th of July? It's going to be before
4th
we have another show.
Sunday.
Sunday. Well, everybody have a great 4th of July weekend.
Yes. And be safe. I don't want to see any lost fingers, all right?
I lost these 2 fingers. Yeah. All right.
Never mind. I ain't going to say it. Yep.
Everybody have
All
a good night.
Take care.